Okay, so there's a video doing the rounds right now, which appears to show Prince Charles snubbing a World War II veteran at a VE Day event in London. Um, I was shocked by the footage at first, so I wanted to look a little bit deeper before showing indignation. And all the sources I've seen so far seem to show it for what it is. Basically, it shows Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall standing in a sort of pavilion, I guess, just standing in a sort of line and waiting for these veterans to go past. And this old guy in a wheelchair is sort of wheeled past, and Charles literally he's smiling, but he literally indicates the man to move on. Now, if this is what it looks like, that is an utter disgrace. I say if it is what it looks like because when you think about it, it's quite something. But I thought even if there is more context to it, even if Charles had met the man earlier in the day, even if it's a private joke between them or whatever it is, the perception is very, very strong, and the perception is an arrogant blue blood showing disrespect to a man who fought for this country. Um, but I want to talk about wider implications of this. Actually, I hadn't made a video specifically about VA Day because I don't think there's much more I can add to what is basically obvious. World War II ended in Europe 70 years ago. I might make a specific video for VJ Day when the war ended completely. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about Windsors and monarchy in the UK. Just watching a DVD right now. I'm just pausing that. I don't want to talk about this in great detail because it's a sort of subject I could probably make another video about. But I've always sort of regarded myself as a soft royalist. What I mean by that is broadly speaking, I think that it's okay to have a royal family. I don't see it as a major number one issue in this country. And I think probably the royal family brings in revenue from tourism, and it's part of our culture, a big part of our culture and heritage. So I've never been sort of one to hate the royals or something like that. Um, I find that there's two attitudes in this country. One is vitriol against the royal family, and the other is adulation, blind adulation. I'm somewhere in the middle, but having seen this footage, I'd be more swayed towards the Republican argument. I'm not a Republican yet. I'm not prepared to say that I am because I think there's still a lot of areas to look at with this, especially in the United Kingdom context. But what I would say is that when you see stuff like this, you can see that Republicans have a good point. Um, it is just the abs that it stinks of privilege and the worst sort of elitism. And the thing about this is usually amongst the royal family, I quite like Charles. I've always thought he was good on environmental issues. He comes across as quite intelligent. I always got a fairly good impression from Charles. But if this footage is what it appears to be, um, and I'll put a link under the video, then it's an utter disgrace, an utter disgrace. But you can sure as hell bet the Daily Mail or the Daily Telegraph will not be running this one because they are papers that are slavishly in support of the royal family. And this is something that I want to address in this video. It's very important to recognise that the United Kingdom is a constitutional monarchy. It is not illegal to criticise the royal family in this country. Otherwise, I'd be frightened about making this video. I'm not. It's fine. I can freely make this video and I can freely say whatever I want about them. And so can Republicans. So we do not have a situation like that in Thailand. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. But there is definitely a problem in that anyone who dares question the royal family in this country is sort of seen as unpatriotic or a radical or a far left fanatic or something like that. I'm actually a political centrist, but I do have a problem with some aspects of the royal family. I do have a problem with the sycophantic adulation that comes about from every little royal event. For example, well, not little, I suppose it's significant in terms of constitutional affairs. For example, the birth of Princess Charlotte. Um, Now, on a human level, I'm very happy for William and Kate. You know, it's a good thing when a child is born. And I wish them all the best. But I do question why we devoted so much time to that story when there was a wide range of other things going on in the world, the Nepal earthquake, um, the ongoing war in Syria, etc. Now, I know there's the argument that, well, you know, it's good to have some good news as well, and I agree with that, it is, but I still think it should be on a proportional basis. Um, and it does make us look rather backward that we spend so much. I mean, I heard about people camping outside not Downing Street, Buckingham Palace for days because they were expecting the royal birth. Now, everyone needs a hobby. Best wishes to those people, but this to me demonstrates a sort of blind adulation too many Britons feel about the royal family. There is also a large contingent, and you see it online, that outright hate them. I don't hate them, and I would be a hypocrite if I did because I have royal merchandise from a historical perspective, not from the fact that I love them. I don't, simply for historical reasons. Think it's interesting. You know, I've got royal mugs like this, and it's not because I love the Queen. It's just because I think it's interesting. It's part of our history. But when I see things like this, and like I say, that footage still has to be clarified, but I don't know how it can be explained away. It is what it is. You know, I've seen no evidence it's photoshopped or anything. And if it is, that's whoever's done it is equally disgraceful. But um, whatever the context, it's an utter disgrace. And it does call into question how we perceive our royal family. I mean, the Republic argument is basically that no one should be born into power, and it's difficult to argue against that point. Now, the BBC did invite a Republican campaigner onto their program for 5 minutes, and the interview was relatively polite, but it was very much towing the royal line. And I do believe that although we do not have lèse majesté in this country, we do have a sort of reactionary attitude, especially from the political right, whereby if you do question the royal family, you're portrayed as a fanatical anarchist or a radical or something. Um, it's true that those people are out there, that they do outright hate the royal family and the vitriolic about it. But there are also a lot of people who feel uneasy about this, myself included. I don't hate the royal family, but I don't like this blind adulation, and I don't think it's particularly good for democracy. I believe I could be swayed towards republicanism. Like I say, I have to weigh up everything, and I still find it difficult to see this country as a republic. And you know, republics aren't perfect either. Republics also have arrogant elitism, so let's not assume that that doesn't exist because it does. But the more I think about it, the more I think that Republicans have a valid argument. It's just that right now, if opinion polls are accurate, it's roughly 70% is in favour of the royal family. Although, as this general election shows, opinion polls could be wrong. So the true figure could be more like 50-50. And I suspect it probably is. You know, you get blowhard, judge, jury, executioner rags like the Daily Mail who sort of vilify anyone who questions the royal family. And it does irritate me. I mean, if you have a public figure on Question Time, for example, was to say something about this, they would probably be booed because, oh, what is this radical? What is this anarchist saying? And the Conservative Party, along with the rags that support them, would be the first to do that. And it does irritate me. Um, I don't believe that the vitriol is necessarily. I understand the anger, but sometimes there's vitriol that isn't really justifiable because it's not true to say the Royals sitting there behind all day. I don't think that's a fair argument, but I think it's the premise of it. I think it's the premise that you have this one family that is put above everybody else simply by birth. And the fact that the Queen is on our coins, the fact that when people get British citizenship, they have to swear an oath of allegiance to the Queen, a person. In most other countries, it would be simply I would have thought Pledge of Allegiance to the country. I believe that pledging allegiance to the UK is more important than pledging allegiance to an individual. One of the things about the United Kingdom is freedom of expression. So it's a bit of a paradox to say you need to pledge allegiance to the Queen, but in this country we have free expression, in which case we also allow Republican views. So you can see there's a bit of a paradox in that sort of outlook. So let me know your thoughts on this. If you're a royalist, then how can you justify this? If you're going to say that it's taken out of context, can you explain the context? Do you know what happened here? I don't know the whole story. That's why I'm emphasizing that there might be more to this, but it's difficult to see how there would be. If you're a Republican, well, like I say, I could see a lot of the anger that exists, but um, can you honestly see this country without a royal family? So these are open questions. I don't think this will be the last such video I make on this subject.